All right, my bad, my peoples, my bad. Let's try this again. All right, I gotta get it right quick. Welcome back to the Will Is Podcast. How you guys doing? Let me turn my mic down a little bit. We waiting on Dr. AE to come in the room. Let me see. We got us here waiting on Dr. E to come in. But check it out. We're gonna get started. Dr. AE is here. Yes, sir. My brother has made it into the building. Here we are. Yeah, let me get him. Let me get him here. All right. Can you hear me, good sir?
Oh yeah.
All right. Let me get the right angle here for us. Here we go. Here we are. Yeah, we back. The tandem is back, ladies and gentlemen. We are here. Yeah. So check it out. The Foundation of America show. We're gonna give you a good show this evening. I got my brother with me. And it's always good when we come and put them up together. You know what I'm saying? So yeah. We finna get y'all with some good stuff. We're gonna get some good studies of the foundations of America. We're gonna start off with some book sharing. But before we get into that, we're going to discuss what we already know what the foundations of America is. It has to do with the blood and soul of the American Indian, aka Negro, aka African American, aka Foundation. Anyway, what I'm trying to say is there's no America without its blood essence. There's no America without the copper colored indigenous man and woman. I hope you understand and know this. Let me get Jordan in here. I'm sorry, Jordan got to be on the show too. So yeah, um, we're getting to understanding what foundations meaning. There's a whole lot of saying we ain't got no cultures. A whole lot of saying we when knowing that the whole world learned from us, the whole world learned from our behaviors and how you know we basically handle ourselves under adverse situations. In those adverse situations, all they do is make a tougher, better you for the most part, if you can endure. So, AE, I want you to add to that, sir.
In terms of enduring what life.
In terms of enduring to pass on, in terms of enduring to leave a legacy, in terms of doing to fight for your success, fight for your betterment, fight for your better self as far as your being you and being a better you regardless of the adverse situation.
Okay, I think it comes down to the basis, and that's your self worth. You have to have that self worth in you. We've discussed that. Uh, when you try to find self worth in materialistic things, and it doesn't necessarily pan out. So then you don't uh, get that foundation, so to speak, where you concerned about the legacy that you.
Got to turn something down a little bit. You're kind of echoey a little bit.
Is the volume too loud?
Maybe.
Is that better?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. So it's the foundation that you set for yourself, right? That's
Hmm.
going to want to leave a legacy. It's going to want you to have a purpose and seek that purpose in life, and then it's going to have you concerned about uh, your community and fellow people and your family and how we all move forward, particularly your family, right? The legacy you
Absolutely.
leave for your children, not just you know, the tangible things. Now, the tangible things are important. Now, we want to build generational wealth, that's for sure. But the intangibles are just as important as well. You want to set that bar or that standard where your child wants to at least say that they've succeeded in certain things in certain aspects as well, right? They don't
That's
have to
right.
be what you are. If you're a carpenter, they don't have to be a carpenter. They can be
Right.
a teacher. Or you a teacher, they don't have to be a teacher. They can be an engineer. They can go and do a lifelong service in the military or whatever the case may be. It's the fact that you left them this work ethic and this sense of wanting to leave some type of mark. I need to turn it down again.
I think you got to get a little closer. Maybe no, no, no. I think you got to get a little closer because I think when it's a little air between you and the phone, you and the microphone.
Is that
Sound better.
better?
Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah, keep going. Keep going.
Is that better?
That's better.
Okay, so that's the foundation, right? That makes you want to create
Hmm.
generational wealth. It makes you want to leave this type of positive legacy where your community, your family wants to move forward in that positive direction as well.
Okay, that's a good. That was a good response. Okay, but the foundation of America. That's how we in most successful black households. That's how pretty much we had to raise. We were raised and had to raise and continue to have to raise our children. And the reason why those aspects are important because that's what are you going to do when that's what you have to do when you understand that your mannerisms, your behaviors, your morals, and your ethics really have to outweigh the trials and the tribulations and the possibility the possible problems that you exist with so you give yourself a better chance by being the best version of yourself and that doesn't work in all aspects either. See, my family is very perplexed in some ways. We had dope dealers, well, drug dealers. We had uh, uh, we didn't have. See, the thing is, it's funny how it's very few people that I grew up in my household with that were actually criminals. Not I mean not violent criminals. We knew how to defend ourselves. We knew we was raised with the ability to defend yourself, but not robbing, thieving, killing, and stealing. Those things were off the table in my areas of growth, even in as an adolescent. So I never understood a lot of times when they did put on TV how they painted these awful images of us saying that we're violent and the inner city youth and all of this violent this and violent that. I'm not denying that it happened. It did happen, but the nature of the people was not bad. I mean, we were not, my cousins, me, my family members, we weren't animals. We was put in preparatory situations, and we want to discuss how. How did such good people end up in such tumultuous situations, Dr. AE? You know what I'm talking about, referring to uh, people that end up in. I know I grew up on a reservation. Yeah, true enough. My grandmother, we was raised. I was raised very frugal, but my mother, when she got out, and the struggles followed. The parent, the struggles of the child follows, or enjoined with the parent. See what I'm saying? So even though you have these challenging situations, you still have the principles and the morals and ethics to uh, garner you out of situations in delicate and difficult times. You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
Okay. Go ahead and elaborate on that.
You would like to receive that help from both ways, right? That your parents or your elders in your family and in your community help provide different pathways for you, right? But then also you have to create some of those pathways for yourself, right? You have to go out and take advantage of opportunities that you stumble upon or come across on your own or um through your own people that you meet, right? Through your own connections. So between the two, you would like to think that you could do that, right? That you take advantage of the things that you come across in life,
Yeah.
because you never know how you can come across it, right? I recently someone shared with me that right there in Atlanta, where you are, Emory University is now offering free tuition for families that are having household income of less than, what is it, 200 or 240K. I think
Mhm.
it's 200K.
Okay.
And so I posted that, right? So you don't know, and I told anyone, if you know of any young person in high school, a family member, a friend of a friend has a senior in high school, take a look at this. Go to the website, see if they qualify, see if they could be at Emory University next year for free, advancing themselves, taking advantage of something, because college may not be for everyone, but when it's free, you got to at least see if it's for you. You know what I'm saying? You
Yeah,
got to at
absolutely.
least try. If you're tired of school, then fine. No more school. You can go to tech school, or you'll get you a certificate or something. But 4 more years is not on the horizon or in the plans for you. Then fine. But it's free. Think about it. But
All right, let
the
me.
issue is, right?
All right, all right.
Anybody, because I put that on Facebook and out there on my other social media platforms, right? Because it's out there, anybody can pass that along, which means anyone may get that opportunity to see that and come across that opportunity on their own and take advantage of that as well. So uh, it's how you maneuver, right? Because just because the opportunity is there doesn't mean that people are going to take advantage of it, or you even have the self discipline and gumption to see it through.
Absolutely.
But it's out there, and
So let me.
that's what we want to continue to provide for, people, and people understanding that they have to look for those opportunities.
I want to read something out of this book. It's called. It's by Patricia A. Turner. It's ceramic uncles and solenoid mammies. Black images of their influence on culture. So let me break this down a little bit for you. This is the chapter of it's called Blemish Depictions. The troping of Uncle Tom. For every enlightened abolitionist like Harriet Beecher Stowe, an antebellum American boasted a good many more reactionary individuals appalled by the suggestions of embracing the slave. Even before the novel itself was published, Baltimore based scholar decided to undo some of the anti slavery political sentiments being triggered by the serialization chapter in Uncle Tom's Cabin, still appearing in the national era. He presented a theater manager with a script of individuals. Uncle Tom is now portrayed as a martyr, nor shows less piety, but with absolute devotion to his master. Both the amateur playwright and the theater manager knew that Baltimore's largely pro-slavery population would be more likely to embrace an Uncle Tom, who proclaimed, "Shah! I was born a slave. I have lived a slave. I bear the Lord. I hope to die a slave." Than the less severe stance assumed by Stowe's Tom. They gave Baltimore and Tom a matched in pervasive political philosophy. The troping of Uncle Tom had begun. I use the word trope in this chapter to convey the message that few in any popular or folk culture depictions of Uncle Tom are true to be as Stowe's original. Instead, the term Uncle Tom had become a trope, a figure of speech intended to a trigger to set assumptions. Assumptions are not always intended to trigger, or they're not are always based on the actual novel. Since the 1850s, America has never been Tomless. Each new generation of artists continues to find the Uncle Tom trope serviceable. The appeal is extensive. My Native American students informed me that a sellout in their culture is often labeled an Uncle Tomahawk. Similarly, Giano and Latino students refer to Uncle Toms, and age is known to be as meant as Uncle Tom. Show me in a way to give popular as depiction it Uncle Tom, and I'll tell you about the racial political politics of the time. The particular production of the theatrical rebuttal of Stowe's flopping, however, its failure did not prevent the playwright's form appropriating the story. Just a made for television movie producers and feature filmmakers, vice the broadcasters, writes today's best-selling novels. Their 19th century counterparts in the theater were eager to cash in on the success of the novel in a popular Uncle Tom's Cabin. The most influential and antebellum theatrical version was scripted by writer George Atkin and stage and producer George Howard. Atkins rewrite was not intended to present a pro-slavery message. Nonetheless, he made profound changes in Stowe's original story. At Howard's urging, he shifted the attention away from Tom and his experiences to the novel white and near white characters. Aiken focused on the relationship between Uncle Tom and the young white child whose life he saved. Little Eva, not Tom, was clearly the star of the play. The child's angst production, death was promoted and emphasized much more like Simeon's Legree fatal beating of Uncle Tom. So, characterizations. Regardless of the true story, how it was supposed to be portrayed, how Uncle Tom actually was a damn hero. And then and the labels of propaganda skewed even made us favorable to call Uncle Tom something that was not even applicable. That's the power of propaganda.
Right. Well, that's what we see continuously, right? And that was what Harriet Beecher Stowe said. That was her number one argument, was that no, enslavement does not is not an elevated position for these people, but you instead took kings, queens, medicine men, artisans, skilled people, and you reduced them through brutality to this subservient level to where their only purpose in life was to serve you, right? And so they didn't want, that was the pro slavery argument, right? That they didn't want that counter argument by Stowe. And so, like you said, right there in Baltimore, where slavery is legal and there's a pro slavery stance, right? Pro enslavement stance.
Mhm.
They took the definition, they took the Uncle Tom and they changed it, right? The same way I have continuously said, and I will continuously say, we cannot allow them to continue to change our definitions for things that we have created. And right now, the two main things that we need to be concerned about is the definition of how they're changing the definition of woke and how they are looking at, right? They're looking at the political and ideologies of black theory and black consciousness, right?
Mhm.
And they want to try to turn it into some racist theory, right? When actually, right, critical theory is actually simply looking at the uh, the ideological understanding of how um, race and the mechanisms of race work in America. And that's really what critical race theory is, right? Looking at the psychological theories for the underlining as the underlining drive to these mechanisms. But they want to change that definition as well because just like uh, there was an idea against that pro-slavery sentiment and pro-slavery ideology, here is the sentiment today that is anti-racist, and they want to change that as well. And that's what woke and critical race theory is undergoing now, where they want to create a different definition and then have that definition be the dominant. And we can't allow that to happen. We've already let them do it for Uncle Tom. We can't let them do it for this.
We're going to
Go
define
ahead,
that
brother.
too. I'm going to read you another passage out of another book. This is the Uncivil War, the struggle between black men and women. This is by Elise B. Washington. So let me read chapter two. It's called Self-Inflicted Battle Wounds. So let me read you a spell of this. For the most for most of the 400 plus years that people of African descent have been in the Americas, their survival of the midst of extreme cruelty and cultural deprivation has been assured largely as the result of the strong, stable, and supportive black family structure. It is not too distant past black men and women understood the obstacles that they faced and that they knew that in order to succeed, they would have to face them together. They further understood that the relationship between the black man and the woman was probably, with the possible exception of a black church, the only aspect of a black life that was not actually influenced by a long and often oppressive arm of white society. Today, however, the same harsh economic culture and societal forces that once brought black men and women closer together have evolved to form a wedge that effectively pushed them apart. From going des- from growing despair of homelessness to the widening economic uh, uh, divergence between black men and women, to consist negative portrayals of black men and women in the mainstream media. The negative influences of these powerful external forces are now perilously sweeping into the bedrooms of black America. It does not have to be this way. However, external pressures don't cause war, they cause only encourage and inceptions and the continuance. External forces don't always wage the battles of the uncivil war. Individual black men and women do. And it is their thoughts, behaviors, beliefs, and attitudes towards opposite sexes that are ultimately the impetus of us all. Consequently, in the efforts, it's better to understand the internal factors that drive the conflicts. In this chapter, we will discuss the images of black Americans that are shaped by the media, subsequently influence our behavior. We will also examine what the individual black man and woman think, say, and do to each other that that drives them apart and then pits them so vehemently against each other. Is with myth, lies, and stereotypes. In chapter one, we were accounted how the uncivil war is being played out in the media, television battles, all through these other consistently negative portrayals and images of black Americans are shaping not only our images, but the opposite sex of but ourselves as well. Not only for the not for the better. The things that keep black women and black men apart, says Rutgers University professor of psychology Nancy Boyd Franklin, are partly external, but are partly our own internalized of negative victimizing messages about each other that have been laid upon us by a Eurocentric society. You want to elaborate, my brother?
Sure, let's start. You know me, I'm a historian. Got to start at the beginning, right? The issue was this, as we understand it. during our ancestors' enslavement, marriage itself was more about survival. You know, it was, I keep looking at you, I see you keep looking at me, okay, that's enough because we gonna come together and we gonna survive together. And marriage was more about survival, right? And this was the situation that was created from external forces by another group of people, right? And so when we fast forward, you know, even 100 years, we don't have to come to today yet. We're gonna keep coming through historically, right? It continues to be about survival, right? That this unit is the core, right? To the black community, right? The church is the cornerstone, and then the black family is the core. And it's about our survival. And we have to understand that. Our survival is in threat because they have found another group of people that they wish to replace us with. So our very survival is being threatened. And so when you look at the 1900s, right, you start seeing a specific, right, a specific motive, and then these ways in which they began to break up that basic core, right? That marriage, man and woman, for survival. And so, as we've seen it now, we see it on social media, we've seen it in documentaries, where people now have given testimony, oral histories and testimonies, that when they were young, in as early as the 1940s, right? Not halfway through the 1900s yet, 1940s, where people were coming to their homes and they were offering money and saying, take this money in which you can survive better, but that male has to leave the home. And so black males left, started leaving in the 40s
Say that again. You
because
broke up.
black males started leaving in the 1940s.
Can't hear you.
You can't hear me at all?
Now I'm good. You, I don't. It's something about the inflection. Keep your voice steady, and you come off good.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And so in the 1940s, what we understand is black men started leaving the household then because it was better. And they made it better for the survival to separate. But in the long run, that was only the short term and that was for each individual family. But as collectively, for black people as a whole, it was a long term detrimental thing for our survival. And so as we go up through the 1900s, they began to develop all different types of things, right? That would divide the man and woman and make our relationship adversarial instead of communal for the ideas of survival. It became all about quote unquote love then, that love hate relationship, because now some of us, let's call it like it is, some of us don't even like ourselves. We don't
Hmm.
even love ourselves. So how are we gonna love someone else, right?
Hmm.
And so when you made it up, when it then becomes this whole ideology about love, that only adds fuel to the fire. And so now it's through movies, it's through music, it's through everything now that has made this relationship adversarial, right? Even now the ideas, when we were young, that we were supposed to quote unquote run game on women in order to get what we want from them, right?
Hmm.
That
That
in
kind of was that
itself,
way.
that in itself was divisive, right? So all of these different nuances help drive this wedge between brothers and sisters, when we lost the overall understanding that it was also about our survival. And you know what's funny? I just saw a meme that I shared on Facebook where this sister talked about um she was in a club,
You're breaking
and
up, AE.
this sister spoke about being in a club, and her friend, ex-boyfriend, walked in, and they were across the room, and he just looked over and he checked on her. You know, you good? Everything good? And nobody bothering you, right? You good? You know, and she said in that moment she felt so much secure, you know, of being in that place, and felt so much just overall safety and secure in who she was. And she realized, you know, that we need each other. Black men and black women need each other. And that black women do need black men. And it's not just quote unquote love. You see, and that's the part that we lost through the 1900s, right?
Mm-hmm.
That it was also about survival. We need each other for survival, for our own well being.
All right. So let me add, because we about to come to a conclusion. We already there. So uh I just want to add something. They built we built the foundation of America, and as soon as we became more, I guess I would say, Europeanized, and we were given, and I do mean we worked for everything that we have ever received, but we was in a sense that freedom to be an individual was necessary as well. But in all actuality, I feel like individuality can be taken two ways. Most people, when they become very individualistic, when you're a black person, is because you don't want to be disrespected for the things you have accomplished. You don't want to be treated as if the things you have accomplished and all the hell you done been through to get it. You don't. You feel like a person should understand what it takes and what it is to even achieve the success that you do have, simply because in a lot of ways you know the fact that you could have achieved more if it wasn't for so many um, adversarial situations. But to have the mindset to push beyond your adversarial situations and to make something good of yourself, it takes a lot to do that. But it also takes a lot that comes with that as well. And you feel like people should know that about you. You feel like people should respect that about you. And they show it by how they treat you. They show it by how they respect you. See, some people want to be on your level, or some people don't want to respect the level that you own yourself and what you have attained and what you have done. And it's not being egoic, but the love for yourself sometimes threatens others. So I just say continue to, due to the fact that you want to practice all of this unity, and yeah, that's all well and good, and it sounds good, but the intricacies that come with that ain't always good, because people is not gonna you're always in a position where you want to give, but you're going to be taken advantage of. You want to help, but you're always going to be seen as somebody you don't want to be seen as. Respect is extremely important. Me and this brother, Dr. AE, first time we met, first time, and to this present, has always been about respect, honesty, appreciation, and brotherhood. You know, all I'm saying is for us to, that was the foundation of this country, our resilience. And I like to give you a couple of book reads sometimes to just remind you of our resilience and what it took to get here. We got to get back to those strong principles, those good ethics and morals. And what this show is about is helping you understand that so you can feel better about yourself. You still got a conscience. That shit's still working there. You just have to put those confusing things, like the things that you don't hear every day or that you don't hear all the time, those positive reinforcements of building better relationships and being better people, being a better steward of yourself and a better representation of us. Yeah. That's where we're supposed to be at. That's where we got to get back to. AE, you got something to add?
No, I think you did quite well there, brother. It does come down to, like we've always said, you begin with that self worth, but you just don't stop there because then you get too far into individualism. But
Mhm.
you start with that self worth and believing in yourself, and not let people who don't have the same confidence in themselves deter you. You just have to keep setting your the bar for yourself. And
That's
so
good.
I'll leave it at that.
Straight up. So y'all, that's the show tonight. You understand? We'll be back on Thursday. I'll be doing another show. I was gonna do it tonight, but it's getting late. I got to get some rest. It's Monday, and I have the extra responsibilities this week on the job, so I got to keep my energy levels up. Yeah, man, I can't burn
Can't burn
out. You
the,
know what I'm saying? I got to
that's what I
stay
said.
sharp.
Can't burn the candle at both ends, brother.
Yeah. So yeah, we're gonna get up out of here. You know, this is the favorite part. No, you got to say it with me. The will
The will
is
is yours.
yours.
God bless. One love.
One love. We'll holler at y'all people. I'll be back on tomorrow. We'll be back. The tandem will be back Thursday.